Hey everybody, how's it? Aloha, this is Jeebs here, your old composer here, decomposing for you, in front of you, both music and just getting older. Here at the Decomposer Lounge, this is my countdown to my 1-year anniversary. This is number 24. I'm going through songs that I've already done for the rest of this countdown. Based on your suggestions, I am now going to be doing a revisit of Deftones and a song called Rosemary. So I've done a couple of Deftones already. As a matter of fact, probably enough to even start its own playlist here. But the diversity of what they do is what I've been incredibly intrigued with. And one song I'm thinking, wait a minute, is this? And then the next song is completely power, just monstrous wall of sound and vocals and stuff. So I look forward to this. Thank you. You know who you are, who suggested this. Like usual, I just want to bring up the fact you guys know the channel's not monetized when I do these videos. So if you want to buy me a cup of coffee, that's great. Links down below. Link for the headsets down below. Link for Patreon. People are opting to not buy me coffee. They go to Patreon and maybe just, get in there and then dig out after a month or two. And that's also fabulous if you decide to do that. So let's do this. Rosemary by Deftones. Oh, I want to say, yeah, a little late in the morning. Usually I've got these things nice and crispy early before the sun came up, but I had a good weekend with family, so I slept in a little bit. All right, guys, let's do this. Rosemary by Deftones. All right. This was, to me, I'm sorry, I'll usually stop within a minute and a half, to do what I'm doing, but I was so pulled in by the opening. That is the power of ominous darkness without volume. And what I mean by that is that opening, that picking pattern that was being played, very nice, really nice voicing with that little mono delay. It's kind of setting you in. It kind of kicks with your biorhythms a little bit. You're getting into it. Okay, that's nice. Then they have this kind of swelling pad that comes in behind it. For those of you who don't know much about music, that it sounded like strings. That was coming in behind, but it's a keyboard program and many different types of pads and stuff with some cool nuances that would drift in. So it had this nice kind of analog-y kind of vibe to it on this pad, and it created some width. That's what I loved about it. It pulled me open with that. So you have this guitar that comes in, it's got this nice pattern with a little echo. Then this pad comes in with width, and that kind of, it kind of makes me go like this. Then that bass comes in, and I was listening to it, there's a clean sound to it. It's like they married, it seemed like, I don't know, just sounds like to me, that I can hear a clean part of that bass, but they kind of maybe married some distortion into it instead of, that's just the way I'm hearing it. Some different techniques in engineering sometimes that you might bring up effects instead of the whole thing being a single signal that's completely affected, blah, blah, blah. And then the vocals come in, very haunting. This is what I mean by the ominous power of this. It's like, didn't need to have the power of the band come in. Then when the band came in, excuse me, you see me jump a little bit because I was so into the moment and stuff. And so they repeat this pattern except for this one area where he's singing, where there's a little bit of a chord adjustment, or they change a little bit, but his melody kind of dips just for a fraction of a measure into the melody emotes, sends out the vibe of a possibility. The possibility of what? I don't know, but it was like, and then brings it back into it. They kind of stayed in the same pattern that they opened up with as the verses come around with one small turnaround, so I really dug that. But, you know, for right now, at least at this point in stopping, that opening is just, you know, it's kind of makes you want to, I think you probably could have saw me at the beginning starting to sink into my seat because that's the feeling that I got with it. So let's go back a little bit and...
As the engine starts, our eyes catch sail, explode. We discover the entry.
I don't want to get too far away from that section. First of all, we all know what this is here on my channel here. This is the universal sign for chicken skin. Goosebumps, different countries call it different things. First, that as soon as I started, I came back in. That next passage that came around with those chord changes and everything, so cool. And it kind of resets you a little bit. It gives you this, it kind of, for me, the composition and the arrangements that are happening here give you this sense of reset, because this has been a kind of a heavy path, you know, the emotions one might get, I'll speak for myself, that it starts off kind of heavy and stuff, and then a little glimmer of like hope kind of a thing, and it comes back really heavy, and that, and something else that happens through this, up until that place about, I don't know, 15, 20 seconds ago, when it just stops back into the pattern, is that dun 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 dun, dun. That just that pattern in the back, even though the guitars are letting the notes ring out, you know, they're not short stopping it to make it riffy. It's just pow pow. It's just constant, you know, pulse of power that keeps pumping through there. The those guitar tones are so cool. I'm starting to get more into listening to guitar tones as this year has gone by here on this channel. What a great production decision, composition decision to hit that spot and literally slow down. It felt like he dropped it just a few beats per minute, which, the drums came out, it was just the guitar. And, I think it said even in the lyrics, slow down, so purposefully slow down. But when he comes out of this, the tone of his voice, and as I recall, because I'm kind of old in Bobo, and I've heard so many songs, I'm trying to remember, but he's also known for a very intense part of his capabilities is his screaming and his performance and stuff. And I'm always so amazed at musicians, vocalists. Same thing, musicians, vocalists. This is their instrument. Except if you break a string, you can change it. If you hurt your voice, you could be in line for surgery for nodules or anything else. I've always been in awe of vocalists that have that kind of capability, such flex in their voice and stuff. All right, let's continue on here. Okay, I gotta stop because I'm getting so soaked into this riff and people go, well, why did you stop? Why did I stop is because what set me up for this riff and probably the joy that I'm going through right now listening to this and getting so locked into it was this great move in production to go from that really super cool, let's just say ethereal ambient passage. And I think it's a repeat, right? My brain goes in so many different weird ways when I'm listening to music. Sometimes I wonder, wait a minute, was that a repeat of that other phrase they did earlier? And if it was, that blend between the pad sound, remember we talked about that, it's kind of that rich, thick sound, and the vocal overdubs that he's doing in the background, it kind of lulled you, right? I'm sitting there going, yeah, okay, that's there. Oh, by the way, I love the engineering of the drums, especially the kick. I'm just mental about kick engineering. I'm very critical personally. I don't ever say, oh, that's shit or that sucks or something. That might not do it for me, but love the engineering. But anyhow, so they kind of lulled me into another moment of chicken skin where I'm like going, yeah, man, check that out. They got this nice, this is going, but they're giving us that ethereal ambient vibe by having that big rich pad there. And for the first time introducing this sick riff, all of a sudden it was like another reset, in the journey for me. So I'm going to go back a little bit in this riff and then I'll play it out. So I'm going to go back probably about, I don't know, maybe about 30 seconds. I don't know if it's... Oh man, did I love that, man? And I'll tell you why. So we already talked about that. By the way, that riff pattern was really super cool. Actually, to me, it felt like I've learned early on in this channel never to say that I know, because I make mistakes. So kind of phrase it a little bit. What was unique about that riff that made it sound like it was a play on time was the where they decided to play in what seemed to have been it's a straight 4/4, it seemed like to me. And it's the notes that you choose and what you choose to accent in, you know, a measure, you know, or a bar, or a series of measures and stuff. And if it's dot, 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 and you go dot, 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 it's in time. So I didn't feel a meter change with that. But what I loved about it is that the drum pattern and the kick, you know, held steadfast to that particular pattern. And by the riff coming in between that, actually really shoved that unique fun timing that they played in that riff. Really made it, what's the word I'm looking for? Obvious? No, that's not the word I'm looking for, but made it. So I loved it. Now this ending, obviously I think maybe this leads into another track. I'm not too sure by the way it ended. But what I loved about this is really nice, great guitar tone. But this time what they did is the guitar back down in the middle, very, very light stereo ambience, very, very light. But then that, remember we were talking about the width and the depth of that pad that was being played that gave us a stereo kind of vibe, a sense of like ethereal. That was squashed down to a mono. So it wasn't big, fat, and rich. It was down in here. So it was like they decided to say, well, let's just give it a little bit of support with the pad. And and then at the very, very end, if you listen, they let like this nuance of an ambient pad kind of slip in just at the end, and then you can feel, there's that depth. This was great. I loved this track. I'm going to listen to it again while I render this video out, but thank you so much for the suggestions. I really appreciate it. For those of you who have been dropping comments about new music for me to do, new bands, yes, I promise when I get back, that is going to be 90% of what I'm going to be doing. But this, until my 1-year countdown, is going through all the bands that you guys suggest while going through my playlist that I've already done, and then a new track, a new song, right? So just like this one, even though I'd done a few, somebody said, hey, you got to check out Deftones' Rosemary. All right, guys, thank you so much for everything. This is a blast. Once again, if you want to buy me the cup of coffee or the Patreon, check out the headsets. I even put a link for this hat. A lot of people going, dude, where'd you get that hat? Okay, I put that down below too. Also with the Spotify of Deftones, the link is where? Down below. All right, guys, take care. Have a killer day. See you tomorrow. All right. All right.